welcome to the Crossover Workshop, a series where we pitch crossovers and collaborations for all sorts of games. These can go from skins to a game, to cosmetics, to guest appearances, to making a whole crossover game entirely. This would also include representation in a crossover game that already exists. And for today's first entry, I decided to go with one of gaming's biggest crossovers in gaming, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And what series do I plan on having cross into this world of gaming legends? And who will be their playable rep?
Arise, myself and my shadow!
The Bloodstained series joins Super Smash Bros. With Meruem being their playable fighter. But first, before we get into the whole workshop of this all, some things I must clarify. First of all, this video is being presented as if Smash Bros. Was still receiving content and DLC. Second of all, I am aware that it would make no sense at all for Meruem and Bloodstained to be added to Super Smash Bros. At least for having a playable character in. But as of recently, I've been loving Bloodstained Ritual of the Night to bits. It was my personal game of the year last year, and I couldn't help but make a contest for Meruem if she was to be added. And third, this video will be presented as if Meruem was a DLC fighter. So that would mean one fighter, one stage, a bunch of music tracks, some spirits, and even 2 Mii costumes. I'll even go into Meruem's classic mode route whilst making this video. And fourth, I should go for spoilers for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night and a bit of spoilers for Curse of the Moon 1. So with that all being said, let's start by looking into Meruem's moveset. Meruem is a close-ranged fighter that uses an assortment of different weapons in her moveset. Meruem will have an MP meter at the top of her battle icon that is styled like how it is in her home game. This will be important for her Meruem specials. For Meruem's jabs, she will mainly use her Kung Fu shoes and kick. For Meruem's neutral special, she uses her musketoon. When using this weapon, Meruem will change stance, just like Bayonetta does when using her neutral. You can shoot 3 heavy bullets at a time, and then she'll return back to her normal battle stance. After this, you must wait 3 seconds until you can use this attack again. You can move while using this attack by tilting the control stick, either left to right. You can either shoot 3 bullets at a row, or shoot once, cancel, or wait to use your attack again. To cancel out of this stance, you can either use a neutral jab, a smash attack, or shield. Meruem's style special, she has the accelerator shot to run at high speeds and attack her opponents. This will however drain MP, so you will have to keep an eye out when using this. When using accelerator, one of 3 things will happen. Either the opponent will be knocked back, in cases where your opponent is in the air at a high percentage, they will be star KO'd, or if they are on the ground, there is a small chance that your opponent may get stuck in the ground. You can either hold the button to use accelerator until the MP runs out, or you can just press the button and go a short distance. You can only stay on the ground when using this attack, and you won't be protected from strong ranged attacks or attacks from behind, so you'll have to be careful when using it. For Meruem's up special and recovery, she uses her Reflector Ray. Reflector Ray allows Meruem to travel through a small beam of light which she sends out before using the attack to reach higher grounds. This can go in all kinds of different directions and can even reflect off walls. Those hit by the attack will be stunned for a short amount of time. This attack is a lot weaker than her other attacks, but it makes up for in range, and this will also drain a small amount of MP, so you've got to be careful when using it. For Meruem's down special, she uses Welcome Company. Welcome Company allows Meruem to summon paintings that swarm around her and blocks damage, and if you're near an opponent or an opponent comes up to you, This will also deal damage. These paintings will break once either blocking the damage or attacking an opponent. If the paintings are still around after 5 seconds, the paintings will disappear. This attack again does consume MP. At the beginning of the match, Merrin will only be able to summon 3 paintings, but as the fight goes on, and the higher battle damage you receive, the more the amount of paintings you'll be able to use. From 0 to 49%, Merrin will have 3 paintings. From 50 to 99, 4 paintings. And finally, more than 100 damage, and Merrin will use 5 paintings. If using side special or up special, the paintings will disappear. For Merrin's smash attack, she uses her Blue Rose sword. This sword will also have an ice effect, like how it does in her home game. Her side special attack has her sword swing from left to right. If held for long enough, Merrin will use a big attack, which will happen instead, and will also send out a projectile coming from the sword that will freeze opponents. Her up special has Merrin swing her sword from one side to the other in the air, and her down special will have Merrin spin around swinging her sword. Her tilt attacks on the ground will continue to use her Blue Rose. However, for her aerials, she will use her whip, which she uses in Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. For Merrin's final smash, she uses Infernal Breath. This allows her to summon a giant dragon head which will breathe fire out onto the stage. This will be a combination of Samus's and Mario's final smashes, with the fire aspect of a beam that can be moved up and down. Now we go on to Merrin's taunts, victory screens and costumes, starting off with her taunts. For each taunt Merrin has, she will summon a different familiar, like how she can summon familiars in her home game. For her up taunt, she summons a Silver Knight, and she will pose with it. With her side taunt, she summons a fairy familiar, and she plays the piano with the familiar sitting down on the piano, like how you can do when you find a piano in the game and have the fairy familiar out. And finally, for her down taunt, where she summons the Dandelion familiar, which gives Merrin a strong red aura. Normally in the game this will give her a stat boost, but for this taunt is only for show. For Merrim's first victory screen, Merrin is seen doing some alchemy with Johannes, one of her companions in her home game. Her second victory screen has her absorbing a shard and afterwards posing. And finally, for her third victory screen, she is seen posing with her whip with her back towards the screen, just like Curse of the Moon. Now going over to costumes, in Ritual the Night you're able to change the colours of your clothing, your hairstyle, and the colours of your hair. So that's something we took into account when making the costumes for Merrin. For her first costume, Merrin has her default appearance which she has in her main game. For Merrin's second costume, she's given short black hair and a black and red dress. This is a reference to Zangetsu. For her third look, Merrin gets long blonde hair, a white and black dress, gold trims and a red hat. This will be a reference to Dominique. For her fourth costume, she keeps the long blonde hair, she has a blue and green dress, and this will be a reference to Arn. For her fifth costume, Merrin gets wavy white hair, a grey and white dress, and this will be a reference to Alfred. And for the final three costumes, Merrin's clothing completely changes. The sixth is her half genie outfit, her seventh is her magical girl outfit, and her eighth is her Japanesque cosmetic costume. The Hellhold is a stage that in Merrin's home game, she spends her whole time travelling around fighting different bosses and going to different locations in this mansion. The Hellhold in this scenario is a stage that changes during the match, and you go to different rooms where in Merrin's home game, the rooms that they are in are where she fought some bosses. The order would go the entrance, the Danchelette Cathedral, the Tower of Twin Dragons, a safe room, Hall of Termination, and Secret Laboratory. When the room changes, a warp-stained painting will appear and everything in that room will transform into a different stage. If playing with hazards off, you will only be in the safe room. Now with every stage must come music, and here are the 12 different music tracks I've picked to join Smash Brothers. Merrim's classic mode run is called Destroying the Castle from Hell. The name is taken from the fact that the Hellhold is a castle that emerged from Hell itself, and that Merrim was tasked with taking it down. The first fight takes place on Pirate Ship, however, and is against a giant Inkling. This is a reference to the Viper boss, a giant sea monster that Merrim fights right at the beginning of the game. Round 2 has you go up against a red Mii sword fighter in the Takamaru costume. This takes place on the entrance section of the Hellhold stage, and is a reference to Zangetsu. After this fight in the main game, Merrim and Zangetsu would make an alliance and work together to take on the Hellhold. This third fight would take place on the Tower of Two Dragons part of the Hellhold stage, and has you go up against two Grey Charizards. This is a reference to the two-headed dragon Valk. In this boss fight, you take on a dragon with two different heads, and once you beat this boss fight, in the main game, you get the shard called Inferno Breath, which is Merrim's final smash. Fight 4 is up against a green Captain Falcon on the Underground Sorcery Labs section of the Hellhold stage. This is a reference to the Baffin boss fight, which after beating said boss, you gain Reflector Ray. Baffin moves incredibly fast speeds, so this is why I thought using Captain Falcon would be fitting. Fight 5 is against a red Princess Peach and takes place on the Dan Ketch Cathedral location on the Hellhold stage. This is a reference to the Bloodless boss fight. Bloodless is actually also a playable character in Ritual of the Night if you put in the name Bloodless on the name of your save file. And finally, Fight 6 is up against Merrim. This is a reference to the Doppelganger boss fight on the Underground Sorcery Lab section of the Hellhold stage. The boss fight I decided to go with for the end of this classic mode run is Dracula. Seeing as Bloodstained is inspired by Castlevania and the game's creator Koji Igarashi, I apologize if I've butchered that name, actually worked on Castlevania games like Symphony of the Night and Chronicles, and so I saw it fitting to have Merrim go up against Dracula. This could also be a reference to Giebel, the central antagonist of Ritual of the Night. There will be 7 spirits added to the game with spirit battles. The first one is Zangetsu, a Mii sword fighter in the Takamaru Mii outfit on the entrance section of the Hellhold stage. This will be a legendary spirit with a sword attack boost. The second spirit is a Dominique spirit. You go up against a white Zelda on Final Destination. This will be an ace and neutral magic attack up spirit. Fight 4 is up against a green Robin in the safe room with a support magic up, and this is a Johannes spirit. Arn is the next spirit. This will have a green Zelda fight you in the safe room section of the Hellhold. This will be a support spirit with the ability of item gravitation. The Alfred spirit has you go up against a grey Ganondorf on Gerudo Valley. This will be a shield spirit, advanced with a magic up boost. And finally, Giebel, a giant Ganondorf with the second ult, with at the Hall of Termination section of the Hellhold stage, and this will be a legendary fast final smash charge spirit. We also have the Bloodless spirit, which will have you fight a red peach in the Dunchelet Cathedral section of the Hellhold. This is an ace spirit with a melee attack up boost. So there we have it, a whole concept for adding Bloodstained to Smash Bros. Some of this was originally going to be in a video where I spoke about characters I personally wanted to see in a new Smash Bros game. But God knows when we're going to get a new Smash Bros game, so I decided to video of this new series. If you like this video, please let me know what characters you'd like to see me do for Smash Bros. And what collaborations you want me to do. You could even say something absurd like an Overwatch and Sonic collab, and I might even do it. I am not doing an Overwatch and Sonic collab. But please, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, share this video with your friends. Let me know what collaborations you want to see in gaming. It could be a Fortnite collab, Overwatch, Dead by Daylight, anything, and I will figure out a collaboration to do and a concept for it all. And with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Please subscribe if you're new and you enjoyed this video. I have been Lord Lad. Have a good day.